The question I answered it the last time. DP cannot leave a vacuum in terms of its constitution. I already announced here that we are going to have a delegates conference. In DP, the presidential candidate is also the leader of the party, automatically. So, just for emphasis, DP will have a president of the party and therefore a presidential candidate, because our constitution made it very easy. So I am still there, who is going to be vying to continue leading the party as we prepare our own transition within our own party also. By the way, I'm the 6th president of DP. I'm probably the only party president who is leading a party I never founded. All the others, when they are not happy, they go and found something at least so they can lead it. So the people really, there's a leadercracy in Uganda. People really want to lead things. So DP will have candidates from the president up to LC1. Otherwise, what would be our role as a political party? We are not an NGO. DP is a political party. Signing the cooperation agreement does not now mean DP has abandoned its role as a political party contending for power. So if there is going to be any other arrangement, it still doesn't exist. Yeah. Really be serious. I don't need you to cheer me. I don't need you to agree with me. But whatever I intend to do, if I'm serious about it, I can achieve it with or without your support. And that's how serious people operate. I came to lead DP. I mean, it's a lot of opposition. Who would give me a chance to be president of DP? But I declared it and I said, I equally belong to this party, and I will throw my hat in the ring, and I don't care how powerful the opposition is. This is what we have set. And together with fellow young people, we took charge of the party. And naturally, we have counter-revolutionaries, because ours of 2010 was a revolution in DP. And it is being resisted, and it will continue being resisted. But like all revolutionaries, where you fail, God intervenes. And many times God has intervened and scattered. You know, they attack from one direction and scatter in 7 directions, like the Bible says. So, these things that you people are criticizing, no, but Mao, cooperation agreement, he is now yellow, he is now what, will not stop us. It is a matter of time before you are going to apologize, because others are now beginning to apologize to me. When we stood here, holding a National Executive Committee meeting, and the group that is now having problems in NUP led a demonstration here, supported by the Uganda police, ironically. Because the Uganda police was here, superintending over their protests. They stormed the NEC meeting, removed chairs from all the NEC members, poured water on us. I was the only one who remained seated on a chair. And what were they singing? Twagala Bobby Si Mao. That was the song. For 9 hours. But because we knew what we wanted and we were determined, we realized that they were mercenaries. We sent some of our people to come and listen to what they were saying, and others were saying, let them add us money, we are now hungry. The money they gave us is not enough. By the way, I like fighting a mercenary army, because they are not fighting for a cause. They are fighting for the pay. So, after they got too hungry and left, of course we assisted them to leave, because there must also be a red line in any political party. So they crossed the red line when they came to remove chairs. So we also called for support, and when they saw our team coming, they realized that now we are not going to talk. So they left. After they left, we suspended their ringleaders. And then they went to wear red berets, from where again they are complaining. So if the problem was really Mao, Mao is not there. So what is the problem? You journalists, help us. What is the, you see, if your problem is your tail, it's because you don't see it, it is behind you. So you are always saying other people's tails. So wherever you go, there will be tails, because you are carrying yours with you. So if indeed Mao was the problem, they now went where Mao was not there. But still they have problems. And wherever they go, they will always have problems. So we have come here to assert that our historical mission is that we are Uganda's indispensable party, because we are not afraid to clash with anyone for what we believe in. We are the only party which clashed first with the kingdom of Buganda. Why? Because we simply said every Muganda should vote. And for them they said, no, the Lukiko will vote for them. And that is how they cut a deal with Obote. So we want to send a clear message that we are not afraid of combat when it comes to what we believe in. We are ready for combat. Yes, we want regime change. But regime change, or what we call transition, is a means to an end. It is not an end in itself. That is why the fundamentals of change must be crafted, agreed upon, and articulated. I would like you journalists to do an experiment. Go to the streets and ask anyone, what do you understand by change? To you, what would change mean? Perhaps you'll get a better answer from all the speeches we the politicians can make. For some people, is their children having equal access to the State House scholarship. For some people, it's a higher salary. For some people, it's a job. For some people, having their cases sorted out in the courts quickly. So, what are the areas that we want to change? The fundamentals. Next year, our constitution will be 30 years old. Naturally, just like a building, it is in need of renovation. There may be leakages, but in the case of Uganda, there are serious cracks on the foundation. Because the building blocks that bring together Uganda are not sitting at ease together. Nobody applied to become a Ugandan. Now that we are together, the rules that bring us together must work for all of us. So we must agree on renewing our constitution by doing some of the basics that we are always articulating. Ensuring that the constitution provides for term limits, reviewing the electoral system, and as DP we will continue articulating the idea of changing the electoral system from what we now call first past the post to proportional representation. We will never get tired of telling Ugandans that proportional representation ensures that no vote is wasted, because the country will be divided into electoral areas, and each party will submit a list of those who would go to parliament depending on the percentage of votes that they get. That's about democracy. Number two, the economy. Uganda used to be the country where the gap between the rich and the poor was very narrow, but that gap is now widening. To close that gap, we must build on our human capacity. We may boast about our minerals, the oil, but the greatest wealth of the nation is really the people. We must invest in the people so that they can take advantage of opportunities. Apologize for its beginnings. Instead, we own the beginnings and proudly say we have grown beyond our traditional base and the core constituency. DP used to be the party of the, the ordinary people, the real grassroots. But now, we have to articulate the interests of the middle class and those who are aspiring to get there. There was a time in DP when if somebody found you wearing a very nice suit, they would say, looks like you have been bought. If you packed a brand new Mercedes Benz, people would think, because they thought, I think they felt guilty. That was a bit strange, because that's not really the spirit of the Catholic Church. Look at how our bishops and cardinals dress. Look at our cathedrals. So I found that to be really a contradiction in terms. So now we tell our young people to proudly aspire to also be symbols of prosperity and the well-to-do. If you look at the homes of our founders and our key leaders in the 60s, every DP's person's home had a driveway and a big compound. That's what DP was. Number four, the nature of the electorate is changing. So we cannot continue talking to the electorate as it was. We must actually start talking to the electorate as it will be. Now we have the Gen Zs. The old messages will not work. This putting old tired messages in the microwave and serving them. I see a lot of microwaving going on in the country. People bring tired leftovers and they put it in the microwave and try to serve it again, and that won't work. Ugandans are anxious about how the country will change. Ugandans are anxious about how President Museveni will hand over. There are those who say he is irrelevant in the conversation about the Uganda after him. For us, we say he is not irrelevant. He has to be part and parcel of that conversation. And that's why everybody now is talking like us. People are now using our terminology. Transition. Uganda needs peaceful change. We need dialogue. We need truth and reconciliation. So once again, we come here today to say the rejected stone shall become the cornerstone, which is really DP. We cannot talk as if we are addressing audiences of the 1960s, 80s, or even the 90s. We cannot even talk about addressing an audience as if we are repeating the same leftover messages of agende, agende. We must try something we have not tried before. Because the things that are being talked about by some of the so-called leaders are things that have been repeatedly a source of frustration and failure. Somebody said the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You cannot have chicken eggs and then you say they are going to hatch turkeys. It's not possible. So as DP, we deal with the reality the way it is. Uganda is not Denmark, Uganda is not Sweden, Uganda is not Netherlands, Uganda is not Britain. Uganda is Uganda. So you must first of all deal with it the way it is. Not the Uganda in your head. And having thought about all that, we have now become the leading party to promote the idea of constructive engagement. Whether we succeed or not, at least we are not stuck. Because I can see people who are truly stuck. Because we are doing something new and something exciting. And we are learning from many other countries, including neighboring countries, that you don't have to agree 100%. Even if you agree 40%, you can focus on the 40% and work on that. And then 5, every political party needs to aspire for power. I don't think anybody wants to take pride in always being in the minority or always being in the opposition. Being in opposition is good when you have a plan to defeat the incumbent party and replace it. There is no point in being mere commentators without transforming ourselves into the party of choice at elections. We made a difficult choice in 2022. But that choice had a logic. And this is the logic. I've written it down. Do we remain on the old beaten path of smug partisanship, or do we embark on a new course leading to the kind of politics in which the day-to-day problems of the people are met with fresh ideas? So, partisanship means you take pride in not having power. These days, you have people who spend the whole day exhibiting their pride in being in the opposition. Being in the opposition means you don't have the majority. And that's why in election there is no silver medal. I think it was intentional. So even if you call yourself leader of opposition, it's just a way of accommodation. But in reality, the one with the power basically has all the power. By the way, there's a facility called flight mode. Do you know it? I'm 57 years old and my children have told me about it. That daddy, if you don't want to be disturbed, you tap the button called flight mode. For your own in celebrating being in the opposition. To the extent that others even say, for you are not in the opposition. You know? Imagine those who have lost a match. And they say, no, you are not one of the losers. Don't be with us. But what if I'm coming to give you courage so that you play better next time? We believe that given the situation in the country and given that our logic of abandoning smug partisanship. That phrase is very important. Smugness means you are comfortable. So by abandoning smug partisanship and doing something totally new, we are in a position to reverse our party's fortunes. What are our strengths? We are known as the party of ideas. You can see, because we have somehow now decided to detach ourselves from those we call the Malebes. They are not benefiting from our usual creativity. Nobody beats DP in the arena of public policy. All those proposals you see in Parliament, including the ones that I am considering as a minister, are largely from DP. So to ensure that our leadership as the party of ideas continues to grow, we have decided to launch a think tank to initiate, debate, and prepare the policy positions of the party. In addition, our Leadership Academy of the Uganda Young Democrats is going to intensify its training programs for the up and coming leaders. The next leader of DP will be someone from the generation born in the 80s and 90s. I have led this party for a long time now, 15 years. This is longer than I've ever been in any position. By next year, I will have led the party for 15 years. As we head to the next delegates conference, I will still seek another mandate to lead the party, and together with the team that will be elected, continue preparing our young people. Why do we need young people? Because we of the current generation, we are custodians of the traditional DP values. But the young generation are the custodians of the modern means of doing politics. Myself and the Kennedy Mutenyus, we may not compete with the young people in terms of the modern means, but the young people cannot compete with us in terms of being knowledgeable and being custodians of the traditional values of the party. Why? Because the old ways of doing politics are becoming increasingly irrelevant. The voters are more educated, they are more independent, and by the way, I have news for you. Ugandans are not as partisan as you may think. Ugandans belong to parties, but that does not necessarily they are too partisan when they hear that there is a good idea coming from another party. The composition of voters is changing. There's a demographic shift. Most of the voters are now young. Now we hear of Generation Z. What is the defining characteristic of the Generation Z or Z? One, they are more skeptical. Two, they have a different attitude towards government. The Generation Z are very suspicious of government, naturally. So it doesn't matter who you are. Even if you win power, you will still face that Generation Z. And yet, it is these new voters who hold the key to power. Why do we need to understand the Generation Z even more importantly? As a matter of fact, they don't want an intermediary. That's why they don't even want to join parties. The people who are toppling governments don't belong to any political party. They want to participate directly. That's why we are saying they are not disorganized, they are actually unorganized. So, what will we do as DP is to talk to them directly in the language they understand, to make politics exciting to the Generation Z. In terms of organizational renewal, the Office of the National Organizing Secretary is now completing the compilation of the membership register. So I repeat my call to those who call themselves DPs but are not on the register. Please know that the party has a constitution, and the provisions of the constitution are not suggestions, they are mandatory. So, register, because it is out of the membership that we shall get the delegates. So, if you really want to influence the direction of the party, first make sure you are a member, not just a supporter. Party membership is not hereditary. There are those who go around saying, my grandfather was DP, my father was DP, therefore I am DP. That mathematics is contrary to the constitution of the party. Step forward. Even if your father was a Muslim, and at one time my father was a Muslim, by the way, that did not make me a Muslim. You're asking what happened? I made up my own mind. So, we must appeal to the multitudes in Uganda, speaking about our ideas and values, but also our political strategy. Why did I say that we must understand Uganda as it is? In this country, government has been changed violently by the army. Our economy is still weak. The country is divided. The promise of democracy in the 1995 Constitution has been betrayed. Because Ugandans expected that in 2016, in 2001, going to 2005, 10 years after the constitution was promulgated, President Museveni would not be on the ballot. That was the expectation. So when I say the promise was betrayed, that's exactly what I mean, because I was in that parliament and I voted against the removal of the term limits, which now we believe will be restored. Our challenge now is to inspire Ugandans to grapple with the challenges. But first we must tell Ugandans what the real challenges are. Some people think the real challenge of Uganda is that DP has a cooperation agreement with the NRM. Has it stopped those who want to bring down the government? Surely the 11 pages of the cooperation agreement cannot be the biggest problem. Because these problems that the so-called opposition is facing have been there before the cooperation agreement. So it defies logic. Then there are those who have the courage to call me and say you betrayed us. And I tell them you have never believed in me. So you can only betray somebody who you have believed in. But because now it is convenient I don't have to talk a lot. Many people are talking to the national resistance movement. I can say everybody in the opposition is talking to the NRM. But because of what is called obufere and dishonesty, they cannot stand up the way Norbert Mao and the DP can stand up and say, here is what we have managed to put down and this is what we have agreed upon. Then others make it such a big deal. How come you have not brought the transition? But why are you not supporting? You are first of all criticizing the cooperation. Then you are saying you want it to work. You can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. So we are indeed in very interesting times. I have seen documents by groups like the Holy Alliance. The Holy Alliance even went beyond the DP cooperation agreement. They want to give President Museveni a full term without elections. Bring me that piece of paper. You know, I think you journalists are really not assisting us. I have to repeat my complaint. You are covering people saying nonsense instead of going to the depth of really questioning leaders about how serious they are. Because even if I'm doing something you don't agree with, at least you should know we are very serious. And I've come to this press conference simply to say Norbert Mao is very serious and DP is very serious. And you don't need to like what we intend to do because we are very serious about it.